A million ways to look at all of this, and my life did not start to look like that which I desired until I embodied this perspective. It will be of some value to you. My name is Lucian, and I thank you for co-creating this transmission here with me on Divine Within, where we remember the power within, the kingdom within, and that reality bends from within. And the part that I was struggling with all of this is thinking that reality is so fixed, that there's something I have to do. Today's message is actually inspired by Phil Collins' 1985 record that he released, No Jacket Required. Today's message transmission is no effort required. There's nothing that you have to do. Now, you can take effort. I mean, we're going to be here's the thing. You're not going to be like just sitting on a mountain doing nothing for the rest of eternity. So you're going to be taking action, but it's a matter of where you're taking, the place from which within that you are taking that action from. Are you taking that action? Are you doing to get? Are you doing something in order to bring something to you? Or are you being because you are? Because that's just the matter of it. You're going to do things, but are you chasing an outcome, or are you expressing that which is within? But all of this got a lot clearer for me, and there's a million different, here's the thing, there's no, I have the Heaven on Earth Source Codex, which you should read because it provides language and structure to every single one of my transmissions comes from one of the points on the Heaven on Earth Source Codex. But there's a million, every single creator that's talking about how this has worked for them, they're correct, and they might not be correct for you because there's a million different possibilities happening with all of this. All of us are one being. We are individualized expressions of the all that is. We are localized nodes. I'm you and you're me. You summoned me to tell you what you already know to help you remember it. So I don't think any creator is wrong. Some people are whispering into water. Some people are doing witchcraft. But this is what helped me, was knowing that this is a dream. This is a dream. It's illusory, that we're living in a hologram, a matrix, a simulation. Now you get some quantum physicists on here. And here's the thing, now the quantum physicists are actually doing the work that supports this proposition that we're living in a simulation. But here's the thing, I don't really give a damn. I don't give a damn about what science has to say, because science can only measure that which is material, and anything else is theoretical anyway. So yes, this is all theory. Yes, this is all lunacy and delusion. But if it clicks, if it makes sense to you, if you hear that this is a dream, wake up. This is a dream, wake up. You're living in a simulation. If you hear that and it hits something in you and it makes sense, then it makes sense for you. And that's what happened for me when I started realizing that nobody needs to teach you to manifest. Nobody needs to teach you to manifest because you've been controlling it the entire time. But you were conditioned and you were programmed before you remembered that you were in control of it. So by the time that you were able to exercise your autonomy and your agency, you had already been preconditioned to believe probably that life is working against you, probably that you're a victim of some sort, probably that if you do have some type of control in the world, that it has to do with what's happening on the outside. But for me, realize that, think about this, think about when you're playing a video game and the character, and I'm thinking about something more, I love Rockstar games. So, I'm thinking about Grand Theft Auto, where and I love Grand Theft Auto 4. I'm old school. I mean, it was 2008. It's not really old school, but it's coming up on 20 years ago. Shoot. But anyway, when the character Nico would he would be unalived by the police, right? Or the mission, or he would lose all his money, or he would lose all of his arsenal of materials that he would use to go about in the world. You didn't cry. I mean, hopefully you didn't cry. You didn't break down sobbing. You can replace this probably with Minecraft too. It doesn't really matter. But when something happens to the character in the game, you're not distraught. You're not destroyed and, oh gosh, what am I going to do? You realize this is just part of the game. This is an experience I'm having. I'm going to keep going. And that's it. So what you are is immovable, is everything. What you are is a localized point of the field of everything that can be. The meat suit, the avatar, the 3D representations that you see, that's the interface. And what we allow is the products and the objects of the interface to control what we believe we are. And that then impregnates our ego, and then a sense of self is born from the perception of all of this limitation. And that's not the case. You are not separate from anything. So once I realized that this is this is a dream. There's an Neville Goddard quote that says, man is moving about, and I paraphrase everything, but man is moving about in a dream, unaware that he is the dreamer and that everything here is of his own creation. Or there's another quote that's more specific, that man moves about in a world that is no more than his consciousness objectified. So it really, it put everything into place. It, clicked that moment that I realized that this is not a fixed, solid reality that I have to try to manipulate in order to get my way. And you're a God, I'm a God, we're all gods. And what I mean by that is you're the God relative to your reality. You're not the God of what other people are doing in other places, but you're the God of your experience of how you encounter them, because they're interacting in your world. All you're ever seeing is yourself. So when I realized that this is not, oh, okay, so there's, I guess I'll put it this way. Back in my early 20s, I was really shy, bad childhood, didn't know how to socialize. So I learned all these confidence, mindset tricks and hacks, and how to talk to people and conversational starters and how to carry a conversation. And the best, you read, what is it? How to Win Friends and Influence People. And the whole book is basically just about how to be a better listener. And all of those things were the structure. But if in my being, which is what I found out the hard way, if in my being I was still anxious and frustrated and irritated and anticipating a negative outcome from the interactions, one, I still wasn't having many interactions, but two, even though I had all of these skills, apply this to manifestation, even though I had all of these skills and this technical understanding of how to, I was going to say, really just parade myself around as confident, that wasn't the case of my embodiment. That wasn't who I was being. So then later on, about 7-8 years later, I just threw all that away. And life happened and, stuff changed. But I realized I just threw all that, I don't have to walk into the room and be like, oh God, my tips and tricks. I just have to decide that I'm somebody that people like. And whatever reality shows me is whatever reality shows me. But that's what I've decided for myself. That's what so there's two points here that I'm making. What do you choose to observe? And what are you going to participate in? And it can be as simple as this. So this could be more of the world, and this is individual perception. So what do I perceive about myself? Now, identity, who we say that we are, has everything to do with what we perceive. Because if I am someone who has to work my skills in order for people to like me, then what I'm going to observe then is the consistent possibility that people don't like me. So your identity, so basically who you say you are, what you add after I am, and not what you do once, but what you know to be true about yourself, because you said it, because that's the thing in this field, in this simulation, in this dream, the moment that you say it is the moment that it is true. It is the moment that the world starts organizing itself around what you declare, because you are the God of your reality. But then we waver, and then we're like, I didn't see it the next day, so it just must not be true. And then we get back into this negative observation again. And if the negative observation is what's been consistent and it has a lot of momentum, then that old script is going to become the new script, and then it's the present script, and then we observe the present script, and then we're like, oh Jesus fuck, none of it's going to work. Why did I do this? Then we calm down, then we journal, or that we watch a video, or we do something, we come back to center, and then we're like, I am love, I am abundant, and we go through this cycle where you just have to stay where you are. You have to stay there with conviction. You have to stay there because this is why you need to read the Heaven on Earth Source Codex, and that is available to you for free in the show notes, because when you start with number one positioning, then the rest of it's irrelevant, because you're not the ego 3D meat suit avatar character trying to make something happen. You are the field, or at least you are the localized point of the field through which everything is happening to you. So you don't need out there to prove anything to you. You walk into a room, you decide that I am confident and people like me. If someone, doesn't seem too receptive, it's just like, I don't know. Maybe they're having a bad day. It has nothing to do with me though. And you move on. You keep it pushing. You apply. It doesn't really matter how you explain it, but you explain it in a way that matches your observation. So it's not like, oh gosh, did they not like my shoes because I have an identity that says I have to be a certain version of myself in order for people to like me. So I'm perceiving that other people don't like me, which means that's the world that I'm participating in. I don't participate in a world where people don't like me. That doesn't mean every single person I've met in the 3D absolutely loves me. Largely, that's what I experience. But what I mean is that, like, when it happens to where that's not the case, I'm like, oh, okay, well, got nothing to do with me. I don't know. I guess they're on something else. I guess they didn't understand. And you move on. So what do you observe about your world and what do you participate in? Are you participating in a world where you don't get what you want? Are you participating? The bills can come. Are you participating in a world where you're without, where you're separated from abundance? Abundance just means plenty. It doesn't have to even be financial. You can observe plenty in your life without it needing to represent a certain amount of numbers, because then you're saying that the numbers are you and the numbers are not you. The numbers have whatever representation that you attach to them. And if your observation is separation and the world you participate in is I don't have enough, then when you look at the numbers, that's what you're going to see. But that's all charged with your creation. And numbers in and of themselves are just numbers. Now, of course, okay, I understand that we have material needs, but I'm saying if you are in a desperate state where your material needs are not being met, are you participating in a world based on an observation where you don't feel like you deserve for your basic needs to be met? And this is not about fault. This is not me saying, oh, it's your fault. I'm saying that you are the source point. You're the origin point. And that also it's a simulation. It is a video game. It is your dream. It's not that serious. Like, basically, I was like doing all these tips and tricks and hacks, thinking it was so serious. Thinking like, oh God, I've got to read the secret teachings of the ages, and I've got to do all this stuff and do all this stuff. Enhance yourself, learn, continue to grow, but understand that what it is that you're learning is not it's not something that's going to click. It's a decision that you make within it. I'm not going to observe anything else. I'm not going to observe a world where I'm overworked, where in order to pay my bills, I have to work 2 and 3 jobs, because I'm not going to. I just heard somebody today say, well, the economy with the way it is, I don't participate in that world, and I don't observe that to be my perception. So the things that they were talking about, I didn't really have the relationship to, because I was like, I just listened. I was polite, but I can see how their observation painted the world that they're participating in, because their identity is, I'm someone who doesn't have enough. This is the observation of why, and the perception, this is the world I participate in, and my experience is womp. So it can just be, it can be as simple as a decision. So it's like, I don't observe lack. Everything can exist, because here's the thing. This is not about ignore the 3D. I mean, some people say that, and I think it has a lot of power in the way that they describe it, but the way that I'm describing the same concept is like, you don't have to ignore it. You can observe it. Everything is happening. Everything's possible. What do you agree to? What do you choose to observe? What do you participate in? You'd have absolutely nothing in your account and decide, I'm not going to participate in an idea of myself that I am without. That might even be the material circumstance at this point in time. That's not the material circumstance that you have to assign to yourself as truth. That is just a script passing by. That is an old echo of that which was. Your belief systems that had been programmed, that carried enough momentum to materialize, and by the time you see something, it's dead. By the time you materialize, by the time anything crystallizes, materializes in your world, it's already dead. It's already gone, it's already done. Which means if you don't like it, if you like it, continue with that momentum. If you don't like it, it's old, it's done. I don't even need to do anything with it. It's just, that was something that got generated 2 weeks ago and now has, it had enough heat to it that here it is in form, but I don't have to do anything with that. You might have to respond to it in certain material or behavioral ways, but you don't have to agree to it. You don't have to observe that as your final reality, and you don't have to participate in a world or in a version of yourself where this is the permanent experience. It's all passing, it's all changing, it's all a simulation, it's all a dream, it's all a hologram. So you can be whatever the hell you want. See yourself as a character in a video game. Stuff happens to the character in the video game, they get up. They go to the hospital, they wake up in the hospital. The mission starts over. It's fine. Let it be fine. What if you just allowed yourself to be fine? What if you stop agonizing over everything? And, this is coming from, I was like the chief agonizer. I was, the drunken existentialist poet, brokenhearted, that whole Albert Camus, Bukowski meets the Beatniks bullshit. I did that in my 20s. So, I mean, we're talking from like, oh God, I was, Grim Reaper walking around thinking all there was is death and loss. So I'm saying, what if it's not that serious? What if you just let it be? Let it be. Let some things be. You don't have to do anything with them. Just let it be. And realize whatever you assign, it's true the moment that you say it, but you have to stay there. And not stay there because you're trying to force your ego to try to believe it. Just know that, to know that I'm source. I'm the source of everything I see. So whatever I say eventually will come to pass, but I'm not looking for eventually because I'm allowing myself to experience that with such truth and such density and imagination right here, right now, that whatever happens out there, that's the world I participate in and observe, not whatever's going on out there, because that shit's old anyway. Wrapping up this transmission, signing off of Divine Within. My name is Lucian. Check out the Liberation Chronicle, which is the written word of this platform, my daily musings, and there's a newsletter attached to that as well, and Dispatches from the Edge of Obvious, which is the podcast, a bit more of a philosophical take on these same themes. And if you would like my one-on-one assistance with any personal challenges you have in the field of how do I get what I want? How do I live my heaven on earth? Check out the Heaven on Earth Source Codex. That will walk you through it. And for one-on-one assistance with me, that is available to you below, email, as well as different options for timing duration. So remember to be good to yourselves and others. Until next time, because everybody's just a version of you anyway.